This week, we have a development in the Royal Danish Navy scramble to replace their frigate fleet. After months of classified backroom negotiations, a disruptive entry from the Pacific has just gone public. South Korea is now actively threatening to undercut the European defence industry entirely. Let's break down the three major competitors fighting for the Danish order. The biggest breaking news is the aggressive entrance of the South Korean shipbuilding titan Hyundai Heavy Industries. Recognizing the extreme pressure the Danish government faces, HHI has submitted a highly aggressive proposal. They claim that they can build 4 new frigates for 20 to 30% less than the European competitors. Even more enticing is the timeline. HHI promises a delivery time of just 3.5 years per hull, meaning if a contract is signed this year, the entire fleet could be delivered by 2031. This bid specifically targets the Danish Navy's current personnel crisis. With a 20% vacancy rate across their active fleet, Denmark desperately needs highly automated ships. To replace their massive frontline ships, HHI is proposing a top-tier export platform, the HDF 6000 frigate. Unlike South Korea's older, lighter coastal frigates, the HDF 6000 is a 6,500-ton blue water heavyweight designed specifically for the long-range endurance operations Denmark may require. It leverages advanced automation and digital architecture, drastically reducing the crew size required to fight the ship. In terms of armament, the South Korean offering is a premium high-end warship. The platform features an integrated sensor mast housing a dual-band multifunction radar and can accommodate up to 48 vertical launch system cells for advanced air defense and deep strike cruise missiles. It provides the heavy firepower the Danish Navy requires, but at a dramatically reduced price with a fraction of the crew. Against this specific disruptor stands Babcock's Arrowhead 140, which is the parent design of the Royal Navy's Type 31. This is the full circle bid, because the Arrowhead 140 is structurally derived from the Danish Iver Huitfeldt-class hull. The political stakes here are enormous. Last month, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer directly intervened, pushing the Danish government to select the Babcock design. His pitch centres on interoperability. If Denmark, the UK and Poland operate the Arrowhead 140, it creates a standardised NATO frigate across the North and Baltic Seas. Armament-wise, the Arrowhead 140 offers exactly what Denmark needs: vast modularity. The 139-metre hull has the physical space to accommodate 32 vertical launch cells for area air defence, a 76mm main gun, integrated torpedo tubes, and dedicated anti-submarine warfare suites like towed array sonars. The UK pitch is that the Arrowhead 140 provides a physical mass and power generation for future weapons, without forcing Denmark to learn a completely new platform architecture. Spain's state-owned Navantia is also in the ring, offering a comprehensive, long-term strategic partnership. To prove their commitment, Navantia recently sent their latest F-105 frigate to Copenhagen to demonstrate their operational integration with NATO. Navantia is pitching the ALFA 4000 light frigate, alongside elements of their high-end F-110 program. The ALFA 4000 is smaller than its rivals, and this shows in its range and armament: a 57mm gun, 16 Mark 41 strike length VLS cells, advanced sensorization, and anti-ship missiles. Because its lighter 4,300-ton physically cannot accommodate a larger vertical launch block, this 16-cell cap represents a severe tactical limitation in modern high-intensity warfare, leaving it with half or even 1/3 of the missile capacity offered by the British and South Korean competitors. While South Korea, the UK and Spain are currently dominating the headlines, 2 other European heavyweights are quietly fighting for the contract. France's Naval group is heavily pushing its FDI. This is an advanced, fully digitalized platform recognised by its distinctive wave-piercing inverted bow and Seafire radar mast. It operates with a heavily reduced crew, which perfectly addresses Denmark's personnel crisis. However, there is a massive financial hurdle. The FDI is an ultra-premium warship with an ultra-premium cost. Recent export data from Greece's procurement of the class places the unit cost at between €750 million and €1 billion per ship once fully armed and equipped. In contrast, Babcock's Arrowhead 140 was originally contracted to the Royal Navy at base production cost of just £250 million. Even when adjusting for inflation, high-end sensor suites and weapon packages, the Arrowhead 140 still sits comfortably at around £350 to £400 million. With France's FDI costing potentially double the British design, and South Korea offering a further 30% discount on construction, Naval Group is going to struggle to survive a bidding war based on unit cost. Meanwhile, the German defence giant Rheinmetall has entered the ring. Back in March, they acquired the NVL Group to form their brand new Naval Systems Division. Now, they are heavily pitching their Guided Missile Frigate 120, or GMF concepts. Geographically, standardising with German shipbuilders makes immense logistical sense for Copenhagen. However, their proposals are currently viewed as an untested paper design compared to the proven hulls already in the water from their rivals. Finally, we cannot ignore domestic politics. A powerful Danish consortium is fiercely lobbying to keep the design authority and systems integration strictly inside Denmark. Even if the physical steel cutting is contracted to a foreign yard, the immense political pressure to retain domestic oversight and production could force a foreign winner to drastically alter their bid to accommodate Danish industry. The timeline for this procurement is heavily compressed, following the highly publicised combat system failures above their current Iver Huitfeldt-class frigates during Red Sea operations, coupled with a crew shortage that is currently impacting the active fleet. The Danish Ministry of Defence is under extreme pressure to procure reliable, highly automated replacements. Decisions and down selects are expected in late 2026 or early 2027. Ultimately, this decision will come down to more than just unit cost and steel. Strategic partnership will also play a defining factor. Does Denmark accept sheer industrial speed and aggressive pricing of South Korea? Do they lean into European partners with Spain's Navantia? Or do they heed the political pressure from London and solidify a North Sea logistical alliance with the British Arrowhead 140? Let us know which option you think the Danish MOD will take in the comments below. Thanks for watching.